that one trump card.
Feels like overall Dignitas kind of just got played in that game with the control from the map from Tempest there.
Yeah, and I have to also say that I feel in terms of drafting, we have to start addressing Blaze a lot more heavily.
Oh yeah.
He's now 10-0, like in a streak. That's his current streak, 10-0. And he's just absolutely disgusting at this point. So they need to address that. I feel if you don't ban him out, then you have to make a quicker commitment to actually take him. We talked about the 1-2 rotation of Tempest on the last map, where they even spec'd into Falstad so that they could help out Blaze at the top to secure these kills.
Yep.
And Whoopi, in fact, was the first kill of the game because of exactly that interaction.
All right, let's get into it then. Game number 2. We're going to be on Cursed Hollow with Dignitas picking first.
I mean, we saw godlike play sort of Whoopi in the top lane. I actually want to say that almost any other top laner would have had much more trouble dealing with these aggressive rotations from Tempest. He played safe, he played passive. So that, I think, even further highlights the point of how powerful Blaze can be in these moments. And in Dragonshire, specifically, how long he can hold a shrine. But the Tempest was always going to have that control of the top shrine. Then they would rotate and make fights happen bottom-wise. We see Dignitas again commit to the Genji first ban. Is Blaze really first pick priority here becomes the question, because we already saw part of the game plan for Dignitas was to use Poik, was to use Hanzo's arrow for top lane impact. And, you know, I don't know if Dignitas is really going to look to grab the Blaze here, especially on this battleground where I personally feel he's a little bit less impactful.
It's a map where control of the map is extremely important, right? And you can win via like rotates, via like hands-on on bosses, example.
That's the point that I think Wolf was trying to allude to a little bit also, is that with Blaze being on this battleground, it's such a wide battleground. Actually getting him to rotate to the fight in time to give that bunker can be something that you can be late on, which Dignitas can try to jump on, or of course a team that doesn't grab Blaze in the rotation. So maybe not quite first pick worthy, but you do have to be a little bit more careful when it comes to your engagements if you're waiting for Blaze to get across the map.
Yeah, I'm personally really curious to see how Dignitas is going to approach this now, because I think losing on Dragonshire is an issue for them from just a moral perspective, because originally they were looking very, very strong after yesterday's games, and when they win the first map, there's a lot of momentum going in their favor. But now losing on one of their strongest battlegrounds, and there were plays taken again, and it's going to be rough. I think his downsides, you two talked about it, are definitely there, but I really think that you can play around it, and they are already going for it again. So Tempest has clearly identified, we need this hero super early on, and from there on, everything's going to run.
That's why I like the pairing here with the Hanzo. Immediately you say, okay, we can force fights around bosses, which means we can choose where we want Blaze to be, meaning you have to come to us. They can be a foundation.
And in Korea, it's always, always, always this commitment to early caps the boss timing. If you get 10 first, if for any reason Tempest gets boss first, they will make a boss play. If they've got 2 tributes, they make the boss play. How could you ever contest that with Dignitas when there's the bunker there and you have this Hanzo can clear the boss so quickly? It's such a difficult thing to play against. So Tempest, if they control the early game, Dignitas is going to have big problems when that first curse comes through.
Now for Dignitas, definitely with the early Malfurion here again, they have that priority, and we see Tracer now taken. So they have a Malfurion and Tracer composition. We're seeing Sonya making her way back into the drafts as well. So there's definitely a lot of pressure play on their end that they can use now. And they are going for Tracer, who was banned in the first game, so they're trying to play exactly that high mobile, explosive game onto a backline hero like Hanzo to get these impactful kills. And somehow they will have to secure them, and it's not going to be easy with what Tempest is already running through Blaze.
Yeah, and the Tassadar ban, the fact that they prioritize Tracer in this rotation specifically screams, well, we got to ban Tassadar here. And it may just be that we have another one of these Tracer dual DPS compositions coming out for Dignitas, but they haven't worked very well outside of Genji, arguably, in this tournament. And so now that Tempest has removed this Tassadar, you're not really looking at, on this battleground, running something like a Zarya, like a Medivh. It's really tough to actually make this composition, I think, round out for Dignitas. You can make the arguments for the Medivh. Snitch is a great Medivh player. It's also Polybombs and Leyline Seal are very powerful on this battleground. But I think that Tempest is kind of pushing Dignitas into a corner here.
What do you think about a Murden ban here?
I actually think it would be warranted. There's a lot of stuns that they can that can be just stacked on the side of Tempest, but I don't really think they're going to do it. I think if they're going to go for tank ban, it's more likely to be either on Johanna's side or into Garrosh. But with height, trying to keep Hanzo alive, they're trying to ban out the Divine Shield. As I said before, the idea has to be put pressure onto Hanzo. That comes through Tracer, that comes through Sonya, if she can connect the spear. And the only thing, or a theme that we've seen from Dignitas played as well, is try and keep Hanzo alive through a Divine Shield. So Hyde has excelled on that hero, so there's multiple reasons now why you are trying to get rid of it.
Hyde's first time he played Seven-Sided Strike when he was just starting out in his pro career as a support was on this battleground. Played Seven-Sided Strike, isolated the tanks in the front line. And now that you've given Tracer to Dignitas here, you have the ability to catch Tracer with the Hanzo's, or sorry, no, I keep saying Hanzo, Karazim's dashes, and kind of lock her down because he could just kind of point dash to the Tracer, so it makes it a lot more difficult to get value out of the Tracer. So I think the ban on Uther, although it is strong, and it empowers a lot of what Tempest is trying to go for here and could give that armor to Hanzo, I think we're just going to see Karazim round this draft out. So I'm not sure if the Uther pick becomes that substantial here.
Ball setting Garrosh. So another global play here for Tempest, being able to play Cursed Hollow and of course be in a spot where they're soaking and always keeping an eye on their opponents so they can go for those boss plays that Hanzo is so good at doing. And then of course Garrosh there to bring out that taunt. Still great against Tracer. If he is coming at diving, Garrosh is set up pretty well. Taunt's hard to hit, but if you land it, that Tracer's done.
And especially with Mighty Gust, they have now even more boss control. They have a bunker to drop whenever there's a fight around the boss. They have Mighty Gust that they can use as a tool. You just talked about the taunt. So there's so many weapons that they have now in any kind of close quarter fights where Dignitas has to be incredibly careful. For me, it's really a question of what the second damage on Dignitas' side is. I'm missing a little bit of AoE. We've seen Jaina banned out early. Not quite sure if you can really get her to work in the setup now. But depending on what the frontline tank is, maybe trying to get some stun setups and then going in with burst damage might be an answer.
I think a lot of pressure's on Poik on that Tracer. You know, if Snitch is going to go for the Medivh here, there it is. Oh. This is what I was alluding to earlier. If you get the Medivh here, I think this is your best bet because you've got sustained healing that can go through those shields that protects. You have Stitches, which is a little bit questionable. We have the best Stitches player in the world here, but I'm a little bit questioning about the Stitches pick. But Medivh and Tracer.
It's a kidnap combo right away.
Stitches, Medivh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Milk carton combo.
I like the Medivh more than I like the Stitches. I think the double support for the Tracer, sure, Medivh's not a healer. I think it's going to allow the Tracer to do quite well, and it was very popular in Korea once the Medivh rework came through.
I mean, the whole thought process here is really just work around the hooks again. Just go for Gorge, set the portal up, and then just kidnap the target into the backline and blow it to pieces. Malfurion has to be there. The roots have to be in place.
Yeah.
And even with what you have on Tempest side, it's going to be difficult to save that target if it's executed properly.
I just think there's not the walls don't last that long on this map. Here's the Karazim I was talking about for Hyde. The walls don't last that long on this map, so you're not going to be able to kidnap very easily. And let's not forget that Karazim loves some seven-sided strike on his Stitches that doesn't have any way out.
But I think it's more about the distance than anything.
You don't need walls
so
here.
Much
You need
distance.
space. And Cursed Hollow gives space. So if you're able to find those hooks on someone grabbing a tribute, sneak away, get a couple of inches away, those inches are enough to get a kill.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what Dignitas is going for.
It's scary. I mean, if you think back to 2017, where it was Stitch's Kael'thas or whatever, this is that kind of level of scary when it comes to that kind of duo. But anyway, well, let's go over to predictions with Wolf starting first.
I would have loved something to go with the Medivh that could come in, do slows or CC. I don't like the Stitches here. I like the Medivh pick a lot, but you know, you guys say it's scary. I don't think Tempest is scared of this Stitches pick at all, especially with Karazim.
I've had two rules for this tournament. One, don't vote against Blaze, and two, don't vote against JPL when he has Stitches. And now I'm in a weird conundrum.
Oh no.
I'm going to believe in the Kidnap combo. I'm going to go with Dignitas. I think Blaze is ridiculous right now, but if you're going to beat him, it's going to be with JPL and his Stitches.
I have a tough time with this too. Blaze is just the one deterrent the entire time, and it really starts hurting. He's a 10-0 on a 10-0 streak.
Yeah.
It's hard.
It is hard.
I just believe in Dignitas with this. They have a kidnap combo, and I believe that Poik, he was a little bit nervous in the first game. I think it showed. He's not going to be nervous in this one. We're going to have him on Tracer, and they are going to bring this back. This is going to be a tie.
Okay, and I will go with Dignitas as well, because this needs to work, because if it doesn't work for them, it is going to be a bit of a rough series, to say the least. They've put a lot of their hopes, though, in some of their comforts to try and move this forwards, and it's 60-40. A little bit of waning focus here on Team Dignitas from the crowd, but Tempest, rightfully so, gaining some traction there, because they did look phenomenal in game number 1. Let's take it to our commentators now, who are going to bring you game number 2, and I can barely hear myself over the crowd. What's going on?
Yeah, I was going to say, you said waning love for Dignitas in the crowd, and the crowd was like, excuse me? I do like what Dignitas has going. I just wonder if it is enough, though, Gilly. Seems the crowd thinks so.
When in doubt, hook him out.
That's right. Well, take it away, guys.
Is it enough, though?
I like the fact that they're going Tracer because I think that they're picking on the solo lane because Dignitas has not had the aggressive early game composition, so why not force the aggression somewhere else? And I think this time with a Tracer, an early game threat is real.
There is a lot of escape, though, available to this team right here, who is currently sitting up 1-0 in this best of 5. It's Good playing Blaze once again, Dami on Hanzo, Lockdown playing Falstad, Sign playing Garrosh, and a Hyde on Karazim. Let's hear it for Tempest.
Gilly, when in doubt, hook him out. If there's anything we know about Dignitas, when their backs are against the wall, they will play the stitches. It's going to be Zelia on Malfurion, Poik on Tracer, Wubby on Sonya, Snitch on Medivh, and JPL on Stitches. Let's hear it for Dignitas.
It's not just the hooks this time, it's also the portals. A lot of pressure on Snitch's Medivh and the synergy with JPL Stitches and with Zalia's hooks. And then from there, the damage that we can hope will come in for Team Dignitas. They need this to work. Nobody wants to make a reverse sweep happen. And though it is a dream scenario and it feels great if it happens, it feels horrible to be down 2 games in a best of 5, especially when it's your last life in the tournament.
Right now, again, that priority on the top lane will be something as JPL's trying to see if Dami would step out maybe just a tad too far as he's playing right on that wall. He is not, so he's going to get vision, catch the rotation of Dignitas, rotating potentially up to the mid there. You know, for Dignitas, the one thing that they do lack, Gilly, is a significant amount of wave clear. Stitches did go slam build, which helps, but in terms of the rotations, it's not like they have it in abundance. Tempest doesn't necessarily have a ton either, but I would definitely say Dignitas, they got to make something happen outside of just the macro lane control.
And for when you're looking at the meta of around BlizzCon this last year and you saw double support, Karazim often was a secondary support because he can do things like what we're seeing from Hyde. In the last game, rotating around, looking for picks, trying to give that extra damage from the Iron Fists that might surprise some people and get some ganks. And here, trying to pick up a camp, and Tempest are even timing out to get a double camp. Sometimes when Tempest on Cursed Hollow picks up their bruisers this early, they'll hold them. They'll wait for their opponents to pick up their bruisers and then defend them under the towers, then have the better bruiser push when the actual tribute is being picked up so that they guarantee a good push from that and trying to force some rotations from their opponents. But we'll see if they want to go ahead and cap it here and cap it early, try to get some structural damage done with that Karazim.
Yeah, I think when they do that is going to be the time for Dignitas. They're going to have to be aggressive because you don't do that unless you have the intention of pushing with that and getting some early structure value, stretching your lead a little bit. And you're doing just that, Gilly. And so when it is on Dignitas, whether they rotate the Sonya down or not will be interesting. There's going to be the first pulse bomb going in. Tracer, since the rework, not as threatening at that level.
Interesting choice to see, instead of an Earth ally for the physical armor versus Tracer's auto attacks, even Sonya a bit to that degree, we're going to see an air ally. Gives you the secondary charge, so a lot more mobility, also gives you vision from those, but we'll see how that choice works out and
I got an idea.
for Tempest. And
I got an idea.
All right.
All right, look, I'm going to hook gorge you. I'm dipping through the portal. The quickest way to get there is to dash there. He might use that to double dash, maybe dash onto the first primary target, onto the Stitches, and then double dash in and then find his way out and get that palm off. So a heads up play, very forward thinking. If we see that, it will be one of those things where you're like, wow, that's impressive. If we don't see it, well, it's probably because it hasn't been necessary.
Remember the triple dash, Mary Daydream, getting the kill on a Tracer herself. Another pulse bomb, but Hyde has the dash. And now we see the first tribute.
And again, with the global on the side of Tempest, I don't think this is something they have to overly commit to. So for that, and you can see that structure damage going in on that picture, and Wubby just missing out on that spear. So very, very good play on the Falstad so far through our first game and a half, as the Slam is going to get the first interrupt. See how many more we have as we do see that camp pushing towards the middle. You talked about being staggered.
And now you see with the Raven Familiar, this is helping to allow Team Dignitas to have the slows on the person who happens to be the target. So they are all setting up so that they can get that big instant kill from the kidnapping style strategy, or even just as they dive forward through the portal if someone is separated from the rest of the pack of Tempest.
Spawning them is pretty fun when the whole team's on board, so we'll see how that works out. There's going to be a hook. Lands onto a minion and the roots go in. Unfortunately, that does not give you a stack, but yeah, everything is fully committed on that. And that's the thing is even if they don't have that Gorge, they still have that hook root combo, which can really lead to some kills. And I'd be surprised if we see anything other than Twilight Dream, Gilly.
Pulse Bomb's gonna chunk through Sign a little bit, but Dami's still stopping this out. The idea is how far away is the portal down from where JPL can get the actual Gorge? Because you look at what Tempest has, and they have jet propulsion. They have taunt as a means of controlling where JPL is at. And Good is at a place where a lot of danger, but Into the Fray bails him out.
Pulse Bomb should be available. See if he has another blink. There it is, and that should not be enough.
Woo!
There is, he has a little bit of armor. No 10 yet for that percentage-based damage, but still, the damage was done.
Indomitable was used for that, and Dami stepped into position just in case he needed to stop that. Scatter arrow slightly too late, and Dignitas get the first tribute.
Wubby almost has a kill up at the top. He does. He landed a perfect spear. Almost goes down to the tower. So Dignitas getting a little bit of control as they get that first tribute and their first kill.
We'll see if that's enough to propel them forward in this game. It was a very slow game one in this series. And for Team Tempest, hearing the crowd go wild as soon as Team Dignitas gets a kill cannot be the best feeling in the world.
I really wonder if that might have had an effect on the continued play of Tempest. As you know, both teams getting close to 10, but we also have full scatter arrow build for Hanzo, which we know can shred bosses. And on this battleground, especially when the tributes start to spawn on the other side of the map, you have to make decisions. But because we saw such a long first tribute phase, you don't have that same threat of, all right, well, we can't give this up because if we do, we give up Curse or vice versa on that boss. So right now, pretty easy play, but something to keep in mind as this game does go on.
It's also a lot harder for Team Tempest to guarantee that they get the boss and sneak it away from Dignitas because of that Medivh. Medivh is the mobile scouting ward that will be able to check on that a lot easier while Dignitas maybe just heads for their own boss. Sign and Dami are sitting here, but no one else has gravitated toward this point.
Once level 10 comes in, those pulse bombs will be far more threatening as Hyde goes in. He's trying to be threatening as well. The dash over. Zelia kind of by himself on this side. Will have Medivh portals here in just a second in case we do need any type of escape option. Feigning a rotation to that top onto that Sonya. Not going to work out. Wubby very aware of what's going on.
Good zoning stops the Sign, but Good over the wall. Now has to use the bunker as he was under heavy threat from Poik. Poik has not quite a pulse bomb out of this. The flip over the stun, JPL drops down the Putrid Bile on a ley line seal at the same time with a gust. Wubby's not able to get this kill on Hyde.
Yeah, remember that time we thought it would be the Gorge? Well, hey, guess what? They're like, nah, we don't need it. So it will be into the ley line and potential as we saw the Putrid Bile, but I think we got a little bit excited. And we're not going to get the same type of action we anticipated. So Dignitas flipping the script a little bit.
All right, the second tribute was grabbed by Team Dignitas, and now both teams immediately head to their safe positioning of the bosses. Leyline Seal was used in that fight, which means it's not as much of a concern for Team Tempest to make sure that they get their boss. It's going to be pushing toward the bottom lane. The next tribute is toward the top, so this does enable Tempest to have a defense of the boss while at the same time getting the tribute or fighting over it. But for Dignitas, this is a tougher choice.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got to deal with one or the other. No Dahaka this game like you had in the last game, so we'll see how they do approach that. And I think maybe they'll just concede this one. That bottom fort already under assault as the wall took a little bit of damage, and both teams also getting their night camps. It looks like Dignitas might actually forego the defense, because if they do get the curse, that will enable quite a bit more. If they do not, Gilly, that boss will gain quite a bit of value as that wave starts to mount up in that bottom lane.
Good, hooked. Pulse ball immediate, but a gust and a bunker again save the day.
See if they can spawn those Ravens.
JPL
gets tossed over, has no portal available, so he is just going to eat all that damage, uses that Putrid Bile for that slow. Now as the minions go forward, able to get out of there to safety. Wubby going to miss the spear there. Sign and team still looking for an opportunity to re-engage.
The poke from Poik has been phenomenal. Hook back in, and the roots are already there, but a quick Indomitable saves Sign from destruction. But with a portal, a Twilight Dream, Falstad falls, the pulse bomb takes out Hyde, except he has the bomb, but can he dash out in time? He can.
Sign, he's going to go in. There's going to be the recall.
They're cursed.
They're cursed, so they can dive behind this. I don't know if he has any. Well, who needs a blink when you've got a portal? As that's 3 members down. See if they can make it through this. Chase it down. High did try and make the plays, but that portal into Twilight Dream, Gilly, was insane.
So freaking good from Dignitas, and they are feeling good as they dove in, got another kill, starting the staggered deaths. 12 seconds until Garrosh is enough, or comes back, and with that team, Dignitas looking toward taking out a keep, getting some catapult pressure against Tempest.
I want to talk about the positioning here because they positioned in that corner knowing that they can hop over, but also in case of a gust. They don't get gusted through that gate that was no longer there. So they had themselves in prime position for safety and so that they could do max damage and then rotate over. Perfect play by Dignitas. Everything that they're doing right now seems to be turning to gold as now they've taken down a keep wall. They pick up a siege giant camp, see what else they can make happen.
And that was a huge minion wave too, so getting a lot out of that. Now the bruisers that they had taken before that tribute fight are back here toward the mid, and they'll finish out these keep towers. And whereas this game was oh so close, Dignitas have blown it wide open, taking out a keep, getting so much damage done toward the structures of Tempest with that curse.
And so we should be looking at boss in about 3 minutes, I would think. So it's one of those things that 3-4 minutes down the road, you could be looking at the boss, playing around that talent tier advantage, even playing towards that late game, depending on how this goes. Dignitas, we know, Gilly, the same way that we've seen other teams do it. Dignitas does it so well within their own region. When they get that talent tier ahead, they know how to play the map. They know how to let their foot off the gas, but not too much. So look for them to continue to feign aggression with that Medivh, keeping an eye on things, and then maybe make a boss play in that 3 to 4 minutes, and then try and move down that top lane.
Right, they are double soaking with the Medivh, but staying up in the Raven form, but then also with the stitches toward the mid, just trying to get 16 and getting giants. Then they're gonna have a super strong push there in the bottom lane, and that gives them so much control over this entire boss area. It's all about having the point control in this spot set up so that they can get 16, also keep the vision. And Tempest never has even gotten a shot of trying to take someone out before Dignitas get to that critical mass 16 level.
Well, as you said, the push in the bottom is very much real. The threat of 16 will be there in just a moment. That's why you see Tempest, you know, they're holding position. You actually see Falstad on the minimap starting to rotate down to catch that mid lane soak. You got to be careful if you're Dignitas. You do have that portal, but you can actually see Falstad was holding his position. The catapults there, I think, are going to keep him there a little bit longer than he wants to be, but here we go.
Bunker.
Here comes Falstad, Gilly.
Here he comes down toward the bottom, but Blaze is blown up out of the bunker. Had to use it for the pulse bomb. Lockdown stepping in, Sign stays alive. A gust in, but nothing really too much to follow up except just the pure damage that they have.
Dragon arrows there. Wubby steps forward to make sure and body block any more incoming damage onto JPL. He's going to be just fine. And now with no Blaze here and the minion wave pushing as well as that siege camp, they're going to look for another kill. They're going to look for more damage. See if they can take down another keep. There's going to be a little bit of a helping hand.
Still have Leyline if they need to bail out. They have Twilight Dream too if they can get Malfurion into the point.
Boink.
Harassment, the pulse bomb almost takes down Lockdown, but it's just a cleverly designed job to take down the keep and look for more. A hook hit Sign, but the palm is procced.
It's procced, but is it going to be enough? Sign trying to get out of there. Bunker's going to buy a little bit of time. And Sign, he's trying to walk away. Wubby finishes the job.
Good.
And they might just be looking to finish this game, Gilly.
They do. They take out 2. Leyline Seal stops from Hanzo getting hooked, but it's not going to matter. It set the position of Hanzo. 3 people down from Tempest, and Dignitas are firing back, tying this series up 1-1.
Dignitas, one fight was all it took for them to blow this game wide open, Gilly. And all we talked about for the longest time was using that Medivh Gorge portal. And they said, nah, we got something else in mind.
All about control with the Putrid Bile, with the Leyline Seal. And, you know, we had seen some Medivh play from Snitch, from Dignitas earlier in this tournament, and we were questioning it, but here working out really well from them, all about the sheer control that they had in the fights. That one curse doing maximum damage, the portals enabling all the swift rotations that they had. They got so much done with their curse. It was crazy.
Yeah, the fact that they instantly rotated mid, took down that keep, and then from then just continued to keep the pressure on. I tell you, they play that map so well, especially when they get the lead. But before we take it any further, we're going to send it to a quick break, and when we come back, we've got ourselves a 1-1 series here between Dignitas and Tempest.